Welcome everybody to the virtual studios of Antion Associates. I'm Tom Antion. I'll be your host. We're broadcasting tonight as always from the great Internet Marketing Retreat Center where people come in from all over the world to study internet marketing in the lap of luxury. We're going to zoom through some hot tips that are going to help you with your speaking, both making more money and being great on stage, which helps you make more money and get invited back over and over and over again. You can still tell your friends about this real quick at greatinternetmarketing.com/30 tips. You could tweet it, Facebook, share it, anything you can do to help out. We appreciate, or email it to your friends. Now, one quick announcement. Selfie Stupidity is now in beta testing, so we invite everybody here to go to selfiestupidity.com and just look around, see what you understand, what you don't understand. Give me some feedback. I really appreciate it. You can sign up for a free account and upload selfies and just have a good old time over there. That's a user-generated content site that we have been developing for a while, and we'd love to have your feedback. So thank you very much. Selfie Stupidity. Okay, so let's get rolling here. Now, most of you know the plan. I've got an enormous reputation for giving great value, and I'm never going to let you down on that, ever. But you can be darn sure I'm going to offer you something later to buy, but only after I totally deliver on my promise to give you 30 immediately usable speaking tips that I've used all over the world. Plus, for those of you that stick to the end, I got 3 genius techniques for those sticking with me all the way to the end. Our sponsor is Amazing Public Speaking, our membership site. It's got over 1,000 easily implemented pro speaking tips and techniques. I'll tell you about it later. Now, why should you listen to me? Well, over 3,000 paid presentations in 12 countries. I've been around a little bit. I was a past president of National Capital Professional Speakers Association. I have the longest running speaking blog on the internet. I have the longest running speaker shop on the internet. I've been asked to train other professional speakers at the National Speakers Association over 100 times in the past 26 years. I think that's some kind of record. I'm usually the highest grossing speaker whenever I speak. And most of the time, or at least many times, I make more than all the other ones put together. So, and that's been going on for many years. Another reason, I got the largest e-zine in the world on pro level speaking. I've spoken from Barnes to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission boardroom, not in the same day, I might add. I was asked to critique President Bush on his speech to Congress. That's up on YouTube if you want to look at that. And became consumer debt-free somewhere around 17 years ago from a combination of speaking and internet marketing, which, you know, they go hand in hand. Yeah, you can do all the internet stuff I teach, no problem, and never speak to a soul. However, you get really good at speaking, it totally accelerates your success online. Hit multi-millionaire status around the year 2000. The developer of the Wake 'em Up video professional speaking system used by thousands of speakers around the world. All right. Now, some of the things you're going to hear about today are what I refer to as attention-gaining devices. That's what my Wake 'em Up speaking system is based on. It's why I always get the longest slot whenever I speak, because the promoters know, man, if I'm up there, the time is going to fly by. People are wondering, oh, you mean it's over by now? And it's not because I'm so brilliant. It's because I act like a pro. I do the things necessary to get the job done. And I might use, the system is based on 11 different attention-gaining devices. I might use the same one 30, 40 times in a presentation, and you'll never know what hit you if you learn how to do this stuff. So you'll see some of those as we go today. And many of my tips are against the conventional Toastmaster wisdom. I'm not going to get into my anti-Toastmaster stories today. I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with them, but they're not professional. They do a lot of stuff that was ancient 100 years ago, and the stuff that works today is a whole different animal when you got to be a professional and make money and makes the promoters happy and make the meeting planner happy, and the people in the audience will, eat their young, so you got to be damn good. All right. Now, another thing, don't tell me, because some of these tips are so easy, but don't tell me, oh, I knew that already. Well, if you did, do you religiously do it every single time? Are you there the first speaker to get there, the last one to leave, double, triple checking everything, the logistics, the audio visual? Well, I do, and that's why when these other divas walk in at the last minute and all their shit screws up, I'm sitting there laughing because they ate up half their time because they didn't take the time to come in and be a professional. And then they blame it on their assistant. Well, this is not a field where you can blame things on people. You're the one up there with the microphone. So get your butt and check every single detail. I'm just going to give you a fraction of them today. And if you did them, you'd be way better than you are now. Organizers ask me all the time, why are you down here so early? Well, I don't want to screw up. I want to walk out of here with $100,000 to $200,000. That's why I'm down here early. So these things are simple, but there's tons of things that you could learn to make you way better and get you making big money, getting invited back over and over. I mean, some of the places I've spoken, I've done it twice a year for 10 years, 12 years straight. All right, they invite me back. In fact, when I was speaking for Mark Victor Hansen before he closed down the mega seminars, his meeting planner said, we can't help but have you back. Usually you have different speakers all the time, right? He says, we can't help it. People are writing in 15s on a scale of 1 to 10 on you. All right, and I'm not saying to brag this, folks. It's because I act like a pro and I do these kinds of things plus hundreds more religiously. I mean, even I might have told stories hundreds of times. The night before and the morning of, I'm practicing the story in my hotel room, kind of at a whisper. I don't want to just do it in my head. I want my lips moving because your lips don't always go where your mind is telling it, so you need to practice out loud. There's a spare tip for you right there. All right, let's get going. Speaking tip number 1, voice care. Avoid shouting. Always make sure there's a microphone handy or bring your own. You can make up a portable sound system like I did for years when I was coming up through the ranks with a guitar amp and a wired handheld microphone for $50, okay, so to start out. So don't tell me you can't afford it. But you always want to have a microphone, and we're going to do 2 other tips, I think, related to microphones later. And then here's the real important tip you need to know. Everybody says, well, you should be hydrated when you speak, and your vocal cords need hydrated, right? Well, you can't do it the day of. If you try to force down all this water the day of, all you're going to be doing is peeing the whole day, and on stage you're going to be, shaking your knees together like a little 5-year-old, all right? You must hydrate the day before. All right, speaking tip number 2, audio-visual requirements. You need to put them on your website. You need to pass them on to the meeting planner, and you need to make that quadruple check before you get to the event and when you get to the event. Because I might say I need a stereo mini plug off of my laptop because I'm playing sound. I might need an HDMI cable or whatever it happens to be. I need a 6-foot banquet table skirted. And then that's why I'm down there checking that it all works, because I've been to 100 places, literally 100 or more, that I told them all this and then they didn't have it. So have your own connectors if you have to, but be a pro, because you don't want to start out all sweaty and at the last second it's not working what you had planned. All right, number 3, ask audience members in the pre-program interviews that you do. Those of you that's checked in early got a pre-program questionnaire. But ask them what funny has happened in their organization. And here's an example. I was doing a big state employee event, and all I did was read their newsletter ahead of time, and and I called this lady, and she said the following: the reason the governor is building so many jails is so when state employees have to start committing armed robbery to make ends meet, he'll have some place to put us. Okay, so all I did was read that, give her credit, and the place went freaking bananas. Okay? Now, I gave her credit, but she gave me the material. I'm the big hero with this loud killer laughter, and it's all going to reflect on me. Okay, so just ask them what's happening, but be careful because so many people are politically correct now. So make sure you check your humor with 2 or 3 different people to make sure it's not offensive. Okay, number 4, use any special skills you have. Juggling, karate, musical instruments. Even if you suck at it, look, Jack Benny and Victor Borge made fortunes just, pretending to be terrible with their instruments. You can sing, armpit fart, whistle, any of these things. I even thought of one, if you were really buff or a gymnast or something, you could do a handstand, put the microphone on the floor, put some pictures of eyeballs and lips on your shins, and interview somebody upside down. If you're really buff, you could do one-leg squat or one-arm push-up, unicycles, balancing spoons on all this stuff. Very memorable, but the thing is, you've got to make a point with what you're doing. Just doing it to show people how great you are, no good. You must make a point with it. That's a lot more deeper training, but don't just do it to show off. All right, number 5, fake eye contact. Okay, this is real. This is if you get to be in a big theater. Well, usually they have these enormous banks of lights hitting you in the face, and you cannot see past the 3rd row. So if you get sucked into the thing where you're only going to look at the people you can actually see, all those thousands of other people are going to feel slighted. So you have to fake eye contact to different parts of the room. I'm going to throw in a side tip here called IMAG. A thing that'll really drive you crazy, and you really have to know that it's happening ahead of time and not react to it, is IMAG is when you're projected on these enormous screens on the side. Well, the people right up in front sometimes will be trying to look past you to see you on the big screen. It's very disconcerting because you're right there in front of them and they're not looking at you. So just be ready for that and don't react and and get all nervous about it. But you got to do fake eye contact because you can't see. All right. Number 6. This is a great tip. How to be instantly more interesting. See, a lot of people are very monotone. They've tried to rehearse and they're just trying desperately to remember what to say, and so they become monotone, and that's terrible. So in general, emphasize the adjectives and the verbs. Here's an example. I've underlined 3 adjectives and 1 either verb or adverb. I don't know exactly. All right, let me read it monotone. The large, shiny gold coin was burning a hole in my pocket. All right, that's monotone, straight monotone. Here's how you're interesting. The large, emphasize, right? The large, shiny gold coin was burning a hole in my pocket. All right, you just do that in general, you're instantly going to be more interesting. Now, if you already are really boisterous and interesting, don't go overboard, all right? But if you have trouble with this for being monotone, this is a way to get over it. This is really good. All right, number 7, attention gaining and keeping device. Here's one. Ask for the audience's help in keeping track with your handout. Now, here's the thing. I always have a handout no matter where I speak, no matter how big, small, or crowded is a handout. I have a whole section in my training on heirloom handouts, what you do to keep people from throwing your handout away. There's certain tricks you can do. But anyway, always have a handout. But what you do is you pick random people and ask them, what's the next point in a handout? Okay? And have them yell it out. Well, people will be afraid to zone out because you might pick them next and then they're going to look foolish. All right? So it's a very simple trick. audience involvement, but it forces attention on you. See, you don't want people slacking and zoning out and texting and everything. You want them riveted on you, and this is just one of the little techniques. Okay, speaking tip number 8, don't step on your laughter. You know, I was a professional level comedian for 6 years before I started speaking. And this is a very common thing where right here, let me get the pointer thing here. Right here, let's say you said something funny and you got a lot of laughter and it peaked right here. Well, if you start talking right here, guess what happens? Poof, the laughter quits instantly, right? So let the laughter start subsiding and don't start talking till down in this area. While they're still laughing, but it's fading away. This would be a place where you deliver what we call a topper line. If you have a follow-up funny line, and then it goes again. And then when it drops off, you hit them with another topper line. All right? So don't step on your laughter because you kill it. Boom, right there if you talk at their peak. Let me get rid of this pointer thing here. All right, number 9, live demonstrations. If you're doing something live that's based on the internet, you darn well better have a backup internet source, a jetpack, a MiFi, your cell phone hooked to the internet, which you've tested in the room. Because I'll tell you what, I've seen this 100 times. The promoter, you tell them you need internet in the room. Promoter says, "Oh, no problem." And then the promoter gets there, and the meeting plan and the hotel people say, "Well, it's $450 for the day." And the meeting planner and the promoter freaks out and says, "No, we can't afford that. No, we don't want it." And then you're screwed. Okay? So if you're going to do something live, by the way, which I never, ever, ever do, I always have Camtasia videos that I'm playing. Now, if I know the video's working or the internet's working, I may jump to it, maybe. But I never plan on it. It's only if I'm up there, it's working fine, and I want to give it a try, and I got extra time, I'll do it. But don't do it. And whatever you do should be rehearsed if it's possible in the room. I saw a guy do something with balloons one time, and he was expecting a 30-foot high ceiling. He had an 8-foot high ceiling, and it just looked stupid. So you got to rehearse your live demonstration in the room and have a backup plan in case everything goes to hell, which it does frequently. Number 10, prize giveaway techniques. There's hundreds of these you can find in trainer books and so forth, but these are just some of the ones I do. Random ones where you can throw stuff in the crowd, but I want you to put a big warning, underline that in blood or something, because I almost lost my career over a bunch of people helping out during this big presentation, threw stuff into the crowd and hit somebody in the eye, tore their cornea. I was like, for a couple of weeks wondering, well, am I going to have to leave town? Or, so be careful with that. You can tape a business card under random seats. I've done that. It creates a lot of chaos. I don't do that if it's a short time because it takes too long to get them back. You could say, who has the closest birthday to today? Knowledge-based ones. What's the origin? Ask them a question. What's the origin of the phrase, "It's raining cats and dogs"? Or something. Ask them something. Or maybe it's something they're supposed to know in the company that they're in. So get them to yell it out. In case you want to know, "It's raining cats and dogs" was, in the old days, people would keep their cats and dogs up in the thatched attic, and if it rained too hard, the thatch couldn't hold the water, and the dogs and cats would slip out of the ceiling, and that was where raining cats and dogs came from. Just thought I'd throw that in. Number 11, bumper car transitions. I never do the old as the hills, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. That is the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. And all you educational designers out there are going to give me crap. I don't care. I'm the one that makes 100 to 200,000 on stage, all right? So that's the dumbest thing. And the reason why is because if you tell people everything that's coming, they can think, oh, well, I can go to the bathroom or go make some calls on that section because I already know that. Or, you know, they can zone out on you, or they say, well, I don't even want to hear about that. Well, too bad. You're here, you know, and you're going to hear about it because you don't know it's coming and you're afraid. See, I want them to not know what's coming because they're afraid to leave or they'll miss something. Just like this webinar, you don't know what the next 29 tips are or 19 tips are. So if you go to the bathroom, you know you're going to miss 5 of them. It could make you a fortune. So you ain't going anywhere. All right. So don't do that. You just just keep going. Now you might say, well, Tom, you told us to give them a handout so they follow along. Yeah, but I never said I'm going to go right down the list, did I? I might say, hey, let's jump to page 3. And then boom. Now everybody's flipped out and they got to go to page 3. And they say, maybe we'll get back to page 2. This is more important. See, so just because I have a handout doesn't mean I'm going to follow it. All right. And that drives a lot of anal people crazy. But again, most of them don't spend any money. They're tight asses. Just made that up on the spot. Okay. Number 12, referral fees. If you want to make more money, let people know you'll give them a referral fee for referring you. Simple as that. I pay 10 to 20%, not counting back of the room sales, but if it's a paid event. All right. It's 20%. It's 10% if you just give me a lead and I got to go sell the job. It's 20% if you've already sold the job and you say, hey, call this people, they're ready to book you. I told them you're the greatest, blah, blah, blah. They get 20%. Now, here's a big red underline again. Don't put someone in an uncomfortable position. See, because many people in corporations could get fired if they took a kickback for you coming in on their say-so. So what you want to do is check around a little bit to see if that applies. And if it does, here's what you do. You say, you know what, I always I'm willing to contribute X amount, a percentage to your company's favorite charity if they have me in. Now you got them off the hook, see? And you still, go to the top of the heap because you're doing something good and giving back to charity and so forth, see? All right, number 13. This is a term that I have coined. I never heard anybody else with this, and it's not even in my Wake 'em Up book. I've coined this in the past couple of years. Memorable spectacles. These are things I do on stage that are just ungodly memorable. One is crime scene tape. I get a big roll of crime scene, get a bunch of people on stage, wrap it around them, give them stuff to say, have the audience screaming out, that's a crime, and it's beautiful. And I get people asking me all the time, you going to do the crime scene this time? I want to be in it. Dueling flip charts, we're going to see that a little later. Air-filled balloons. So don't use helium and do not let anybody suck helium. That is I had a balloon company, entertainment company for 6 years. People drop dead from that. The helium replaces their lungs. Every time I see it on TV, I write the network and tell them it's very, very irresponsible. But anyway, air-filled balloons can be a great fireworks display because people step on them and they boom, and they're easy to pick up so you don't get charged extra from the hotel. You get one of your assistants to go and help pick them all up. Confetti cannons, they're great, except make sure you use confetti that is paper, not the glitter kind, because the glitter, they're going to charge you a fortune for cleaning. Paper will come right up in the sweeper. We used to sell those exploding microphones and stuff like that. Glow stars is, just glow sticks and things. You do a room blackout, and the chemicals, give everybody one of these things. They're dirt cheap if you buy them wholesale. And then it lights up the room, and on the stars, I make the audience the stars, do a room blackout. Say. All right, those are memorable spectacles. All right, this is just a tip. This I picked worst book cover. I want you to write that down really fast, boardpanda.com/worst book covers and titles with dashes in it. Okay, boardpanda.com/worst-book-covers-and-titles. Now, anytime you want to find some humor, just put the word worst in front of anything, and you'll come up with a whole crap load of stuff on the internet, and you pick the ones appropriate and just read them to the crowd, all right? Pick ones that make sense for that crowd. Worst accounting mistakes. You can even do it for accountants, so I'm sure you can find stuff on just about everything. This is just one out of the 30 or 40 ways I develop custom humor for a crowd. So just put worse, but now a lot of the ones you're going to see there are too dirty to use. You have to, make sure you don't use ones that are too dirty in a corporate environment. I can get away more in a wild, boisterous public public seminar, but you just got to be careful nowadays. Okay, number 15, funny headlines. This is another way to get humor. Here's some that I just typed in funny headlines. Weight Watchers representative shoplifts cupcakes. Homicide victims rarely talk to police. These are real out of newspaper. Utah Poison Control Center reminds people not to take poison. I was wondering about that. I was thinking about taking some poison the other day. I'm glad I read that. Most earthquake damage caused by shaking. Federal agents raid gun shop, find weapons. Statistics show, this will go in, teen pregnancy drops off significantly after age 25. If somebody on Deadline put that out there and is suffering for the rest of their career that they wrote a stupid thing like that. Man, this is a real one. Man eats his underwear to beat a breathalyzer test. So anyway, funny headlines. And notice how, I genuinely am laughing along with the audience. And when they see you're having fun, it makes more laughter in the audience. You learn all that in my Make Them Laugh course. But I generally am having a good time up there. And one of the reasons is because I took care of all the logistic details so carefully, I'm not worried about things breaking all the time. See? All right, here's the dueling flip charts. This is one of those spectacles, memorable spectacles. You put a flip chart on each side of the stage. You're standing in the middle, running the whole deal. You get volunteers from the audience. And then it's any time you have like a yin-yang type thing or a good sales technique, bad sales technique, and people yelling from the crowd, and the people on stage are writing them down on the flip chart, and then you give them some prizes for helping you out after you're done. Very, very cute thing, and every place has 2 flip charts, and you can make that happen, a big spectacle, and there's no expense to it, no nothing, and it can't fail because the flip charts aren't going to break on you unless the pen doesn't write, which you should have checked, by the way, before you put them up there. Hey, here's a spare tip. Write in, if you're just using a flip chart for yourself, write very lightly in pencil what you're supposed to say. When you walk over there, you can see the pencil, but the audience can't, and it reminds you what to say. There's a spare one. Okay, 17. Yes, you can turn your back to the audience. That's another dumb Toastmaster thing. Don't turn your back to the audience. Yes, you turn your back to the audience. Here's an example. A lot of times I'll have a crowd discuss something among themselves. Here's a spare bonus humor line you can use. I say, okay, we're going to discuss something. I want you to get a partner. I want you to look, there's a person sitting on your right and a person sitting on your left. Pick the one that looks the most intelligent and pair up with that person. Everybody, they just burst out laughing at that line. And then I'll say, you sitting on the end, all right, you got a choice of that person next to you or the wall. All right? So use that one. That's a great one I've used for 100 years, but still people laugh like hell at it. But as soon as I say that, I say, don't do it yet. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3, now. And then I turn my back and I walk to the back of the stage because now they're supposed to be doing something. So yes, you can turn your back. When I come back around and I blow a buzzer or something, that's when they're supposed to, straighten up again. All right, 18. This will make you a lot more money. Not every time, but sometimes if you have products. On your speaker's agreement, you write educational materials available to complement this presentation. Many times the meeting planner has a separate budget that they have to spend on their members or their employees. And so it's just, and you want to make it easy on them to give the money to you. And so I might, when I was just selling years and years ago, when I was just selling my Wake 'em Up book, it was a $24 book. I'd sell it to them half price for 12 something, and they'd buy 100 or one time there was 500 in the audience, and another, here's a spare trick, write it down fast. Along with my speaking fee, they got 100 books included in the deal. And there's a whole thing of negotiating you can do around doing that tip. But several times people said to me, well, Tom, there's 500 in the audience. Can we buy 400 more books? I'm like, wait a minute. Let me think. I'm not sure that I really want to sell you 400 more books. Yes, and that was another $4,800 at the time. That doubled my speaking fee. All right, from a separate budget, say, from the meeting planner. So that's a good one to put in there. 19, speak at fundraisers. So those of you that have been around me know that I have a whole course on this. There's the link to it. You're crazy if you don't do this. I don't care what level speaker you are. This is a way to get speaking engagements where you make a lot of money, where the organizing group makes a lot of money, and there's virtually zero competition. This is how I start everybody out doing fundraisers. So speak at fundraisers. The gist of the thing is you present a seminar where the group that's raising money has sold tickets to their members who love them already and buy tickets just not, they want to hear your presentation, but they might just buy tickets to support the group, and you split the money, and then you give them 10% of your product sales, plus you're building your mailing list by, sometimes hundreds at a time from people that have seen you speak. This is one of the greatest things I ever developed. You're crazy if you don't get it. greatinternetmarketing.com/fundraisers. Check it out later. All right. Number 20. This is to keep you out of trouble. I call it touched by an angel, but more likely touched by a perv. And I do not want you doing this stupid, ridiculous massage the person next to you stuff. This is just asking for trouble. A big name speaker, you've all heard his name, I'm not going to mention it, ran up to me desperate. I'm speaking at his event, and Tom, what do I do? Holy crap. Oh my God, I'm going to get sued. Some guy was, they were massaging the shoulders from behind, and he was kind of rubbing his loins against the girl's butt. Holy, you are crazy as politically correct and as people are just out waiting to be offended out there, but you're going to be the one that's the brunt of it. You'll get fired from the job. You'll get never asked back if they get some kind of complaint like that because you made this happen. The company's not going to take the blame. They're going to put it on you. You could actually get sued over it. And if the company gets sued, they're going to sue you. All right. So this is bad. Don't do that kind of crap anymore. That's 2-bit trainer stuff. And I'm not saying anything bad about trainers, but never, here's a spare tip for you. Never call yourself a trainer. I had a speakers bureau owner tell me one time, Tom, we can get a trainer on any topic on earth for $200 a day. Don't call yourself a trainer. Call yourself a seminar leader, expert, whatever, but not a trainer. Sorry about you trainers out there, but that's just the way it is. It's a perceived value thing. There's an extra tip for you. I didn't even count. All right. All right. Speaking tip number 21. If you want to play an audio, do a room blackout, because when the visual is taken away, your other senses perk up. Now, you can't turn off the exit lights and so forth, but you can usually darken a room pretty darn good and then play your audio. And make sure you have a little tiny light on stage or a little tiny flashlight in your pocket so you can see what button to push. But that's a great, that's another spectacle type thing. People will always remember that. The room went black, and you might hear JFK saying, ask not what, all that stuff. Okay. Speaking tip 22, the benefits of handheld microphones. I really try to talk all speakers into doing handhelds. Even if you're doing magic or a lot of stuff with your hands, there's special things. You can hold a handheld microphone and a thing around your neck right in front of your mouth. You can put it on a mic stand when you need to, but there's tremendous benefits. First of all, when you're starting out and coming up, there's no sound person in the room. So you can adjust your own volume just by moving the microphone. The sound quality is better. The pickup diaphragm is much bigger. You can interview people. You have to practice that so you don't look foolish by asking them something and you're holding the microphone to your mouth. So practice it so you don't look like a doofus. You can turn it off easily when you go to the bathroom or even behind stage, or if you've got to clear your throat. You can hit hecklers in the head with it. All right? And it gives you something to do with your hands. This is why in Vegas they got in the old days they had a drink in one hand and a microphone in the other, because even the top performers didn't know what to do with their hands. Handheld microphones much better than the clip-ons. Okay, speaking tip 23, sit in questionable seats prior to the event to make sure everyone can comfortably see. I was in a room, I don't know, 6 months ago. It was the worst crap on earth. It had poles. It was a resort, banquet room. It had poles. So beforehand, I'm there early. I went and sat in every possible seat, and then I took the chairs away and set the whole room myself to make sure that nobody had to look around the pole. Because if they can't see you, the rapport is not going to get built, and they're not going to be buying what you're selling. They're going to be uncomfortable. They're going to have to go squeeze somewhere else. It's terrible. So you do it. Here's another unannounced bonus. I credit Paul Roddy from this. That's the best seating method right there in front of you, semicircular theater style. So there's no tables, but it's a semicircle, not straight. The whole Wake 'em Up book does a whole section on this. And to tell you how powerful this is, I mean, I had done 1,500 speeches, I think. No, 500 speeches before I learned this. And some of the same lines I've been using for years got 3 times bigger laughs or response just because of the seating. So you need to learn about this. All right, number 24. This is a pain in the butt, but totally worth it. When you're coming up and you're developing stories, you speak the story in front of a live group where you can't stop and start over 10 times, and you record it, and then you come home and you transcribe it, preferably yourself, but you can have it transcribed and read it. But it's better if you do it yourself, because the purpose of this is to improve your stories so that you'd be amazed when you do this, of the words and syllables and that actually came out of your mouth. So when you transcribe them, it's every single word or utterance, every every ah. If you said the same line twice, the whole thing. And this gives you, when out of the heat of the battle, the chance to fix those problems and make the story so impactful. And I got to tell you, people, I myself and many speakers I know have made a whole career on one signature story. So this is worth it, folks, to do this. All right, number 25, pre-planned ad libs. I think I forgot that's page 103 in my Wake 'em Up book is where the start of this. You need to have pre-planned ad libs, and I go over this thoroughly in my Wake 'em Up or my Make 'em Laugh system. But you have to be ready when something happens with a witty line to say. So here's one example out of the 40 or 50 I have in my mind all the time. You say your projector bulb goes out. Well, you say, that's the first time I've ever been brighter than my projector. All right, so it's not a knee-slappingly funny joke, but when it's said out of the clear blue, right when the thing happens, you look like a genius that's, just cool, calm, and when you're cool, the audience doesn't get all worried, see? Another one is you bend down and you look and you squint at the side of the projector and you say, the sticker says, last service by Thomas Edison. That'll get a laugh. And then a goofy one. Does anyone in the crowd happen to have a 2,000 lumen crystal coated variable capacity reverse mirror projector bulb on them? Say as fast as you can. And that'll get a laugh. But people just, they think you're just so cool when you can just spit these out. All right, number 26. This, I'm going to be giving you 3 genius techniques. I have, I think, 8 or 9 of them in my Wake 'em Up book. But this is one of them that is just really worth learning. Now, I'm going to take a little longer on this one. I used to speak at MPI, which used to be called Meeting Professionals International, Meeting Planners International back when I was doing it. Now it's Meeting Professionals International. And I would speak at their events, and the meeting planner of the meeting planners would always say, Tom, don't feel bad, because they all have to get up and go back to work and stuff at lunchtime or in the morning. They have to go to work. So don't feel bad. A bunch of people get up and leave. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, you watch. All right. And so I would do a split story. A split story is where you start something at the beginning of your presentation, and you build up to a point which is called a cliffhanger. Remember the show 24 where you had to watch the next week because, you know, they made the curiosity happen. It was a cliffhanger. So I'd do a story, and then I'd stop at the cliffhanger point, and then I wouldn't finish it until the last thing in my presentation. Nobody ever left, and the meeting planner would run up. I can't believe it. They loved you. Nobody left at all. I've never seen this before. It's just a technique of a split story. Now, you got to work on these to get it right, but I'll tell you what, nobody will get up and leave because they want to hear what happened. All right? That's called the Zygarnik technique, and that's Bluma Zygarnik discovered the trait of the human mind that it can't stand unfulfilled curiosity. We use it in my copywriting901.com class all the time, which is another thing you should be good at because it helps you get the jobs. But anyway, that's a good tip. Split story. 27. Check the riser. This seems so simple until you're up there and it's squeaking your whole presentation. That's all fixable beforehand. It's shaky. So every time you step somewhere, you got to, you know, you're like on a boat. There's cracks in it, ladies, people that wear high heel shoes. It's a different environment now than years ago when I used to say these things. It used to be ladies, but now anybody that happens to wear high heels on stage, you know, you'll break your heel off at best, and then you'll break your ankle at worst. So you check that, shove them together, cover them with heavy, you know, tape and all that. Location of steps. You know, if I have a big crowd, I want 3 sets of steps, one in the middle and one on each side, because, you know, it's usually the timing. I don't want time taken up. If somebody, you know, is on the left side of the room, has to wake all the way to the right side to come up and get on stage with me. That's crazy. That eats up another minute or two that's critical in some of these events with multi-speakers. So location of steps. The slick risers are slippery if something spills on them. If it's a carpet type, it's not so bad because it'll absorb. But if it's the slick kind, you got to be very careful to check for spills. Like the person before you might have knocked their water bottle over, left the stage, and there it sits. Nobody knows it's happened, and you go bust your ass. Okay, so it's up to you to check that ahead of time. Know it's slippery floor, and check it as you're walking on stage. All right. Number 28. Don't forget, I got 3 genius techniques and question and answer at the end. And here we go. Audience gags. This is just one of the many covered in the Wake 'em Up system. It's called Stone the Speaker. And you're going to say, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard of until I explain it to you. So I would crumple up paper and go to a bunch of people, you know, in the first couple rows, and I'd say, when you hear me say the word train, jump up and throw these papers at me. And I go to a bunch of people in the front rows. So a bunch of people are there going to throw paper at me. Well, what good is that? Well, here's the thing, folks. Guess who is riveted on every word I say, all right, until they hear the word train? So it's an attention-gaining device. Now, when they stand up and throw the thing at me, it makes a big spectacle. Guess who else is looking? Everybody in the whole room is wondering what in the heck is going on. Riveted on the stage. Guess what? That's when I make my main point of the entire presentation. I've forced massive attention on stage. You see, folks, if you study this stuff and pay attention, you can really do great things on stage. All right. This is just one of the over 1,000 tips in my Wake 'em Up system. Okay. Number 29, whisper. Whisper. This is an attention-gaining device. See, if you're a loud and boisterous speaker, and all of a sudden I go up to one person, I say, Marilee, this is just between me and you. The entire audience is riveted on this, all right? It's an attention-gaining device. Now, you have to have a good microphone to do this because the big crowd, if I go up to whisper to somebody in the front row, nobody knows what the heck's going on. So you must have a good microphone. Now, the opposite of this is if you're a relatively quiet speaker, you do need a good microphone for sure. But if you're relatively quiet, I'll try to simulate that because I'm a loudmouth. You know, oh, everybody, we must, get our employees all excited. But guess what? You know, I'm tired of them getting excited with nothing to do. All right. So we got to, yeah. So if you're normally quiet and then you get loud, that's an attention-gaining device. Me getting loud and louder is not much of an attention-gaining device, but me getting soft or a soft person getting loud, attention-gaining device. But you got to have a good microphone for both. All right, number 30. Outdoors. Avoid if all possible. If at all possible. This is the worst. This is worse than round tables at a banquet where the busboys are trying to tackle you and the dessert is being put down while you're trying to talk. And it just sucks. But outdoors is just as bad or worse. You got wind to deal with. You got birds. In fact, if Bernie Sanders, if you saw one of his big rallies, a bird landed on the lectern in the arena. And of course, he's not ready for this. However, I would have been ready because that happens in big arenas. There's birds flying around. So the bird landed on it, and he didn't have anything to say that was funny. I would have said if I was him, although I'm not him, and I don't believe what I'm going to say, but I'd have said, oh, it must be a Republican bird. It just pooped on its platform. And that would have brought the house down, all right? But anyway, you deal with them outside or super big arenas where if you get lucky to speak to 20,000 people, then, I guess you could, if the birds pooped on you, you'd still make money. You got animals, squirrels, cats and dogs, or dogs chasing squirrels. I've had that happen before. Road noises, air conditioners. For the big building, they put a tent outside the building, and there's these enormous 100-ton air conditioners going off the whole time. You need a really great sound system. So this is bad. Just stay away from this. All right. So that's my 30 tips. I got 3 genius techniques coming up. So have I delivered on my promise of giving you 30 immediately usable speaking tips to help make you irresistible on stage? If you believe I have, put it in your question box. You better believe it. Yay, I see it. You better believe it. Yes, 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 you did. Yes, you did. There's absolutely good job. As always, says Tur. Shoot, I lost my power about 15 minutes and missed a ton of info. Well, you're going to have to wait for the replay. Yes, great stuff. Awesome, Tom. Love your delivery. Darn tootin'. Definitely usable. More than 30 minutes. No, it's 37.625, John. 30 tips in 37.625 minutes. Laughable too. You demand. All right. So we had a deal that I was going to do this, and then you were going to listen to what I have to offer you. So here's the deal. Plus, I'm going to be teaching through the deal as I always do, so there's always going to be more tips being thrown in. And then I'm going to do 3 genius tips, and then I'll stay on for question and answer. All right. So the membership site, Amazing Public Speaking. This is a site that will help give you higher valuations. Remember I was telling you people were writing in 15s on a scale of 1 to 10, and that's why I got in back over and over and over. And that's when I did my all-time high, which was $250,000 with 350 people in the audience. All right. So, and I wouldn't have been there had I not been great the other times. See? More return invites, more laughter and rapport with the audience, which means they will buy more. More multiple engagements. You'll be invited back. More money in your pocket. And you'll be a better professional speaker who makes more money and gets invited back over and over. And I don't care what level you are. There's one of the techniques I want to show you, but I don't really know how to do it. They have this beta thing. You're supposed to be able to play a video, and it's in here, but I don't know how to play it. Let's see. If anybody knows how to do that, let me know.
Okay, we're going to go to the video, and we're going to pick it up. I'm going to give you another advanced tip on introductions. We're going to pick this video up about 3/4 of the way through the introduction. And we're going to use, and this is the technique, you put test humor in your introduction. Now, Bubba, as a comedian, is going to have several laugh lines in his introduction. If you're a straight corporate speaker, I don't even call myself the humorist. I'm an entertaining business speaker. I'm booked business content, but it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, so I only put one laugh line in my introduction, and it's called test humor. And what happens is I'm standing over here on the side getting ready to come on. And I'm watching specifically the reaction of the audience when that line is delivered. Now, when you've heard that line hundreds of times, and I only have a couple different ones, even if you can interpolate for how good or bad the introducer is, I'm watching the audience. I'm over there kind of acting like, cool, I'm ready, but I'm watching for your reaction. And if I get zero reaction, I'm going to have more than one opening ready to go, because I'm not going to come and give you a great laugh line if you're not ready to receive it. And it could be because it's too early in the morning. It could be because, like Scott said, that there's something happened before you. As a matter of fact, I might grab the introduction in that case where someone had died and scratch the laugh line and just go with a straight introduction and get into it slowly and warm them up. But if you laugh a lot at that line, I pretty much know I don't have to waste a lot of time on warm-up. I can just, boom, hit it. So this is called test humor. You only need maybe 2-3 pieces, because you don't want, if you go back to the same group, you don't want to use the same line. And if you go back a third time, well, you already know the nature of the group from your logs that you take notes after you've done a presentation. So 1 or 2 lines, make them self-effacing, tease yourself, and put them in your introduction.
I'll tell you what happened, though. A guy that had been speaking 25 years was a CPAE. That's the highest designation you can get. He's interviewing me, and I'm talking about test humor in your introductions. And I see his face getting red during the interview. And after the interview, he says, "Are you kidding me, Tom? I've been speaking 25 years. I did not know that technique." The technique is to give a piece of test humor in your introduction, and when you're off the side of the stage, you're watching for the audience's reaction. This is a really, really great technique. And Stephen says, bonus tip, you have modeled to drop the name of your book, product, training during the presentation. Absolutely. Just don't go too far with it. Love the gag, stone the speaker, said Keith. So anyway, that's just one of the many tips in the membership side. What's it costing you not having this? Well, new cars, nicer homes, college education fund, no time for money or hobbies, no spendable income, great vacations, time with family, no trailers. What? This is my new toy. I saw this on Craigslist. I went up, took $3,000, gave him cash, and now I'm putting another, I don't know how many thousand in to make myself a little trailer. This is my do on the spare time because I got cash. I'm tearing the walls out, putting insulation in. I'm putting real manly tires in rather than the sissy tires they had on it. So you can do stuff that you like to do because you got money. Now, this deal I got is like crazy. Nothing. It's 26 cents a day, plus you get a massive bonus. And remember, I got 3 genius techniques coming up, plus question and answer. See, if you get the knowledge, the speaking money is out there. Tom, get to the darn deal. I'm missing my favorite Seinfeld rerun. All right, so it's a 1-year membership to Amazing Public Speaking. What you get, there's 475 videos demonstrating these kinds of tips. So you take what you just saw and multiply it times like 15, okay? And that's all demonstrated on video for you. And I add them every time I see something new come up. There's 300 articles on presentation skills and the business of speaking. There's tons of training audios on how to be a great speaker on stage. There's a speaker glossary if you're new and you need to know the lingo of the industry. See, you can say one wrong thing to a meeting planner, and they'll absolutely know you're brand new, and they'll never hire you ever. So just by saying the wrong word to an association meeting planner rather than a corporate planner, so forth. Enormous number of humor resources, and I even give you comedy routines that you can practice and deliver. Audio-visual tips, audience interaction tips, stage fright tips, and more. There's a discussion forum where you can network with other speakers, and anytime you put something, I get notice of it, so I'll answer any questions that you have. You get money-making tips and techniques that savvy speakers use to make money with their mouth. All right, so there's two deals here. If you know you want it, go now to amazingpublicspeaking.com/genius.html. amazingpublicspeaking.com/genius.html. I'm going to see if I can put it in the chat box for you. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. So you can click right on it there. There's two deals. One is $97 for the whole year, access to all of that, or 3 payments. I apologize, this slide is wrong. It's $39. It's 3 payments of $39. And the first 10 of the cash deal get a very special bonus. You are going to get a 30-minute consultation on, and I'll tell the things you can talk about, worth $500. So the first 10 that get the $97 deal get a $500 consultation. Now, there's 3 genius techniques coming up pretty quick. Don't go away. All right, let's go back here. Now, the reason to do this now, see, is that most of these techniques can be implemented immediately, but some, and many of the ones in the membership site take a while to evolve. One example is transcribing your stories from live events. You've got to speak in front of live groups to do it. You can't do it, in practice. You have to do it in front of a live group. So that takes a while for that to evolve. But the sooner you start, the sooner you reap the benefits. So it's amazingpublicspeaking.com/genius.html. Yeah, the order form at that site is a pain in the neck, but it's worth it for this cheap deal. Or 3 payments of $39. I'm very sorry. I very seldom make a mistake when it's giving me more money, but it's $39. And the first 10 of the cash deal get a consultation. You know what? I made another mistake. Everybody that buys today gets a consultation. The first 10 of the cash deal get 2 consultations, a $1,000 bonus. I made that mistake on another webinar once. But see, I love consultations. I love to sit here. My time it's $1,000 an hour with the 3-hour minimum for straight consults. But I want people to invest in these products and get results because they brag about me, and I get more money in the long run. So I'm happy for people that invest in themselves to do consultations. And I like to sit on my fat butt here at the retreat center. So if you pay $97, you get 2 consultations. If you do the payment deal, you get 1. All right. Now, common mistakes: not enough pre-programmed research. You got to know your audience. Delivering high content, but little or no attention gaining and keeping devices. Because you bore people. You're like a scientist then. They don't buy stuff. You don't get their emotions going. No custom humor. People expect an entertainment value. All right. Not enough or no audience interaction. You got to get people involved. If you don't get them involved with you, they're going to be involved with their cell phone. Period. In fact, I actually tell them up front. Here's another tip for you. I say, everybody tells you to turn your cell phones off. I say, turn it on, and if I'm great, I want you to tell everybody on Facebook and Twitter. If I suck, you tell everybody on Facebook and Twitter. So guess what, folks? I'm not going to suck. And so I'm telling them, hey, I'm going to be worth your time to listen to me. Okay, that was just a spare tip I just threw it. Too much and poor usage of PowerPoint. That's the killer of many presenters, is they suck and it depend on their PowerPoint to make them great. I mean, for years I've had the site PowerPointStinks.com. I want you to be great if everything blows up and it's just you talking. And then when you add all this other stuff strategically, visuals and sound and everything, you're so great they can't help but give you a lot of money. People are texting me, but I don't know if it has anything to do. Yeah, I don't know who it is here, but okay, yeah, people are saying we're buying, but they're texting me. I don't know why. Ignoring logistics, which causes poor starts and technical difficulties. That's what a lot of these divas do. Like I said, they're too good to be there early. They're too important to be there early. And let me turn the volume off on this thing. So they get started and then the thing doesn't work and it ruins. I mean, I sit back and I love it because I know I'm going to blow them away and take all the money, so I don't really care. But I don't want that to happen to you if I'm in charge of teaching you. Okay, so why should you bother? Much more spendable income and higher evaluations and cars, and I mean, this big estate that I have here is all but from speaking and the internet combined. And the commercial is, go get this thing, $97 or 3 payments of $39. Again, I apologize for the typo there. And first 10, and I have no idea what's coming in. I'm working by myself. Employees are sick, and I have no idea, but get in there on the first 10 if you can. You still get a consultation either way. So now the other thing I'll tell you, if you make the payments, I have to hook you up manually. The 97 is automated and directly on the membership site, but just a little goofiness going on here. And if you pay the 3 payments, then I have to hook you up manually. Okay, so this could give you an extremely short learning curve, big savings of money over personal coaching, more speech and product sales, big savings of time. And if you want to know who this is for, and by the way, you can be putting your questions in the question box because we're going to get to that after the 3 Genius technique. So hopefully you were doing it all along. But it's for you if you want to dramatically and immediately increase your income from selling your speeches, training, products, and services, and if you want to consistently, totally wow every audience you speak to. And the reason that word consistently is red is because I get people all the time coming to me saying, oh man, they love me at church. Well, guess what? The people at church don't eat their young, all right? At least until they get out of church, all right? Then they might, but not while they're in church. They're going to tell you, they're going to pat you on the back no matter how bad you suck. I want you to be so great and so consistent, you could be the last speaker on a sales group before the golf course in Las Vegas, and they'd still listen to you. And I've been there. These techniques work, but you have to learn them and implement them. Now, it can feel overwhelming. I get that, but don't worry. You're not alone. Almost all of my products have a consultation, so you got somebody to ask questions to that cares about your success. I mean, you might think, well, that's kind of shallow, Tom. Do you really care about me? Well, okay, just look at it from a selfish point of view. I care about you because if you're successful because of me, a percentage of you will brag about me. There's people on this line right now that's never bought anything, that can't afford it, that I have, and brag about me anyway because I've been good to them and helped them. All right, so that's the way I roll. So anyway, the first 10 from the cash deal get 2 consultations, and if I happen to see a load in the orders when I finally get off this webinar, I'll contact you if I decide that I should help out some more people with 2 consultations. And okay, there you go, amazingpublicspeaking.com/genius.html. It's also in your chat area. All right, well, what can you talk about in your consultations? Professional speaking, obviously, anything internet related except local search. I'm not, that's a very specialized field. Entrepreneurship, I've never had a job since high school or college. Copywriting, that's really big for me. That's the most important skill I have in my career. Anything business related that I'm qualified to talk about, I will not BS you if it's something I'm not qualified to talk about. And I love, this is one of my favorite things about my consultations. Tom, I got more and better ideas on our call than I got from my master's degree in business at a much less expensive price. Thanks, Michael. All right. Again, you'll get 475 streaming videos, 300 articles, tons of training audios, glossary, humor resources, comedy routines, audio visual, audience interaction, stage fright, all that stuff. Discussion forum. This is 26 cents a day, folks. If you're not willing to risk 26 cents a day for potential to make millions like I have, I mean, even if you make hundreds of thousands, some of you, if you made 40,000 next year speaking, you'd do freaking cartwheels, all right? And 26 cents a day investment to be a professional is so ungod ridiculous. I mean, that my shopping cart should be smoking by now. All right. All right, there you go. 97 bucks for the year. There's finally, it says 39. And remember, I have to hook you up manually for that one. So if you do the 39, I want you to email me a user ID and password you'd like to use, and then and what email you want me to use. amazingpublicspeaking.com/genius.html. There it is again. You getting the idea enough that I want you to buy this thing? Okay, now here's the thing. A lot of people, you've known me. Sometimes I ask how long you've been doing business with me, and there's like 24 years and things, and lots of people 15, 20 years, and tons of people 10 years or more. So I'm not quite a fly-by-night person. So you got a 60-day money-back guarantee, zero risk. And guess what? You don't have to chase me around. There's our office number. Write that down even if you don't buy. You should know how to get a hold of us. 757-431-1366. It's answered live by me or my staff 9 to 6 Eastern, Monday through Friday. All right? You're not going to get voicemail hell. In fact, they get in trouble if it goes to voicemail. And all my clients get my personal cell phone number. So, we're not hiding from you. Now, is there a catch? Yes, there's always a catch with me, except it's a reasonable, fair catch. All right, it's based on one condition. You get 60 days to review and learn from this site. Check out all my claims, try things out. If it doesn't live up to your expectations, you can get a full refund. Now, if you think that's fair, put it in your question box, say that's fair. Or you can put the number 1 as fair, 2 is not fair. I lost my question box here. There we go. All right. Fair, darn fair. They're coming in so fast I can't see it. Reasonable. Fair-de-doody. 1 + 1 + 1 is super fair. Sammy Jean. Fair. You're always fair. I'm busy signing up. Shut up, Tom. That's fair. Good to hear from you. Fair. Yeah, that's the way I roll, folks. You don't be in business 40 plus years formally, and even technically since I'm 10 years old. I started selling advertising specialties door to door by not being fair to people. You don't have people dealing business with you for 24 years. But here's the condition, and tell me if you think this is fair. You got all that 60 days, but as soon as you start taking advantage of my consultations, in other words, taking my personal time that I could be working on my trailer, you agree that the membership is no longer refundable, and if you finance it with me, you're going to make all your payments. So let me know if you think that's fair. You got 60 days, but as soon as you start taking advantage of consultations, then you're not going to ask me for a refund and be one of that person. John says, extreme value. Having your cell number would be great. Yeah, no, there's no problem with that. Crazy fair is Terry. A bunch of ones coming in. Fair. That's a good, here's another tip for you when you're doing interaction on a webinar. Instead of making people type everything, there's a 1,111, says Keith, 1111. Let them do 1 or 2 if you're going to do a lot of interaction, but sometimes you want to have real comments. Only thing more fair comes once a year at at the county event. The state fair, says Dave. Okay, so let me get this out of the way. All right, question and answer is coming. But for those of you that have enough info, amazingpublicspeaking.com/genius.html. And 3 genius techniques are coming. Then I'll stay for about 30 minutes or you know, however long you want me to. Okay, so you're going to make sure you get those in your question box, because I have to leaf through them because I don't have a helper today. Okay, you ready for bonus genius tips? Heck yeah. Let's have some genius stuff going on here. I want to be a genius on stage. What's the best time for consultations? Okay. You know, I am anytime starting 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., holidays, weekends, I do not care. I am a fanatic. Most people know that I am totally customer service oriented. I'm against scammers who promise you the moon and then disappear off the earth. So I'm on Eastern time, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern time, and any day of the week. Doesn't make any difference. Don't miss it, though, because if you have me doing in the middle of my weekend and you know, I stop working on my trailer for you, don't miss it. Let's see. Dick says, I signed up immediately and inadvertently submit twice. No problem. You know, we'll take care of it. It might take a day, Dick, but we'll fix you up. Okay. So I didn't see anybody. Oh, yuppity. Yuppity for genius. Oh, everybody's ordering twice. They love me so much. Pamela, no problem. I'll see that. And sometimes the software will actually catch it and void one of them. So, but we'll take care of you. Don't worry. So, are we ready for genius techniques? Let's see. Yeah, Sammy says most people have become so conditioned to everything for free that they forget that you and I as trainers put our heart and soul into what we create, and they also have responsibility to work just as hard. That's a good comment, Sammy. You're absolutely right. Holly wants some genius techniques. Diane says all caps. Yes, bring them on. All right. So, yeah, Jim says, what did I miss? It was the $1 million tip, Jim. You're going to have to listen to the replay. I'm sorry, man. Okay, let's get to the genius techniques, which I promised you. All right, now this is another term that I have coined. No one else came up with this. I did. It's called neutral topical. This is a really important technique. And what it is, you got to understand, in most such situations, unless you're there to talk about one side of an issue and everybody there's on your side, taking sides on issues is bad for business. For instance, if you were in the election and in a group of people, no matter what you said about one candidate or the other, you piss off half the other. And this was a very vitriolic, election thing. But there is a way around that if you pay close attention. See, it's good to talk about topical things. It shows that you're not just doing a canned speech, and you're right there live. And I talk about some things that happen the day that I'm there. That shows that I'm with them. I'm present. But let's say, for example, you wanted to make the Trump-Hillary thing was just massively he still dominates about everything, but it's more Trump bashing than anything now. But during that whole election, it was just dominating everything. Well, you look kind of out of touch if you don't address it. But how would you address it without pissing one side off, say? Well, here would be an example of a funny line you could have said that doesn't tell which way you're leaning, anything. It says, well, you know what? Oh, the election's crazy. Isn't it fighting? Everybody's fighting, calling each other names. Well, you know what? It boils down to whichever one wins, they're going to have to move from opulent homes to public housing. All right, so made a comment on 2 rich people and then called the White House public housing. Well, everybody's going to laugh at that. You know, nobody's going to get mad at you over that one. See, so that's neutral, but it's topical. That's one of your genius tips. All right. Second genius tip, and I credit Terry Paulson, past president of the National Speakers Association. If you get your time cut, which happens all the time, I see these programs and people are running into the bathroom, running into the stall, trying to adjust their presentation, figuring out what to cut now, and then even worse, they get on stage and just talk faster. All right, so nobody can follow them. So you expect that your time is going to get cut. So if it does, you're going to be prepared like a pro that you are and the genius that you are, is you're going to have a quotation ready that makes the same point as a long story you were going to tell. So you might cut 4 minutes, boom, just like that without breaking a sweat. Here's an example. If you were talking about truth and ethics and things like that, or being blunt or telling it like it is, or anti-political correctness, whatever, Albert Einstein said, if you are out to describe the truth, leave elegance to the tailor. All right, now you might have had a 4-minute story that you were going to tell about something, you know, that happened to you, but you don't have the time. So you have a quotation ready to cut out long segments if you get your time cut. Now, another little side bonus here is if the meeting planner rushes up to you at the last minute after you've carefully crafted this presentation and cleared it with them of what you were going to talk about, and rushes up to you and said, hey, we need you to cut from 40 minutes to 20. Well, you grab them before they run off and say, well, okay, well, you know, we covered all this stuff. What do you want me to cut? Because I can't fit 45 minutes into 20, and put it on their head. All right. And in fact, sometimes you can broach this with them ahead of time. You know, frequently, you know, things run late and time gets cut. If in fact that happened, which I know it won't happen with us, but just in case it did, what would you want my priorities to be during the presentation? See? So, and you document that you've covered all this stuff with people in case it gets cut, and then the meeting planner says, well, I didn't tell them to, you know, to cut out all that material, and then the people pay and don't want to pay you because you didn't do what they told you. You know, so you document times and dates that, you know, what happened. I mean, I hate to be like that, but corporate people can be schmucks and cover their ass all the time. Okay, so that's genius tip number 2. Genius tip number 3, photographic memory technique. This is a technique that, it's one of these things that just makes people wonder about you in a good way. All right. So you might have someone ask a question, or you might say, I'm reminded of something I read in Time magazine. It's usually best if it's stimulated by a question from somebody in the crowd, because then it looks like it's so spontaneous and they think you have a photographic memory. So you say, you know, they say, well, what about X, Y, and Z? Well, you say, well, you know, I just read an article in Time magazine. It was in the October 3rd issue. It was on page 27 on the left-hand first column, about 2/3 of the way down. And Joe Schmo said this. so they're thinking, oh my God, this guy is a genius. He's a genius. And you just memorize something and set it from the stage. So that's a fun one. And, you know, it never hurts if people think you're a genius, especially if you're not, like I'm not. All right. So there's your deal. amazingpublicspeaking.com/genius.html, 97 or 3 payments of 39. Now I'm going to do Q&A. And hopefully you put it in your question box, and I am just going to slide up to the top and start deleting stuff. Well, I know all of these things at the beginning I don't have to bother with because They were just answers to stuff. Let's see. And if you have any trouble with anything, those of you that were on early, didn't get your bonus, you email orders@antion.com. Anybody had trouble ordering, you email orders@antion.com, or you call 757-431-1366. I'll be up till probably 11:30, 12, taking care of any trouble anybody's having. Okay, so I'm scrolling down until I start seeing a question. Oh, okay, Ruth has a question. How long should the opening part of a split story be, as in how much time or development before the cliffhanger? No exact answer to that, Ruth, but it shouldn't be short, so short that it's just a quick thing where they're not involved in the story. You want enough time for your story to get them involved in the story. Your childhood thing happened when you were, you grew up in a small town and you were walking down the road when it was safe to do so, and you knew you had to get back for dinner, but and it was getting dark, but you looked over into the creek, and oh my God, what I saw. No, I just made that up. People are going to wait and say, well, what'd you see, Tom? Yeah. See, Holly says, oh, I want those 2 consultations. So anyway, Ruth, enough to get them involved where they like, oh man, I wonder what happened, and then they'll stay forever. Okay, Keith says, bought it, can't wait. Good. And those of you that did buy, just throw in there what do you think it's going to mean for you. Alan Brees says, I've been doing with you since you were selling cassettes and VHS tapes. Diane says, hi, Tom. I hope I'm part of the first 10. So valuable. The order form took a bit back and forth to get through. Yeah, that sucks. But like I said, this is a cheap site. Let's see. Sharon says, I just dug up my old book, Wake 'em Up. I bought it in 1999. Fun and still relevant. Hasn't been updated. Yeah, it's been updated in the ebook version somewhat, but a lot of these techniques I've been using since the early 90s, and many are still correct. So you don't need to buy the new book for that, but it wouldn't hurt you to get the, see, there's over 1,000 techniques in this membership site, all simple and easy, and 475 of them I'm illustrating on stage, so you see exactly how they work. Okay, let's see what we got here. Questions. John says extreme value. Gail says I'm a smart ass. Yep, I am. Okay, Sammy says, regarding your tip 1, I agree with you being neutral and not taking sides as long as it doesn't lead to violate basic values and ethics just to make a buck. That is even worse for business and your soul. Yeah, but the thing is nobody wins if you get into an argument on stage. See, that's the thing. So you stay away from topics if you feel that you can't, if you're going to blurt out or you want to get your opinion across, you just have to take the consequences. You're going to piss off half the audience, and you probably won't get invited back, and you'll get a bad reputation as a speaker that makes everybody mad. But that doesn't mean you can't speak. It just means you should go where everybody's on your side so that you can speak to the choir, so to speak. Okay, Sammy says, great tip 2, but I don't remember what that was, but thank you. Ruth, I answered that one. Dave says, when you're booking a speaking date, do you require a partial payment? Oh, Dave, absolutely. In my agreement, which anybody that bought the Ultimate Guide to Professional Speaking is a sample agreement of mine, which you can't find that anywhere. That's a proprietary thing that speakers won't show you usually. But in my particular case, Dave, it's 50% down, non-refundable, and 50% 2 weeks before the engagement. Let me talk about that. Now, you probably can't get away with that when you're first starting out, but if they really want you, yes, you can. Here's the thing. If you don't get a deposit, these flaky corporate people will book a thing at the last minute and then cancel it, and you've done all this preparation, maybe made travel arrangements and fronted money and all this stuff, and they cancel it, and you have nothing in writing that says they're liable. So absolutely, it's in writing with a non-refundable deposit. Now, if you get sick or you can't perform, you give them their money back, but that's a clause also in case of sickness. What happens, because I'm a one, how are you going to replace me or you or anybody? I'm not saying that arrogantly. I'm just saying they booked you because they wanted you. Then what I want to avoid is early in my career, I was walking around like a homeless person after the event when the training director, who you made more in 1 hour that they made in 2 months, has got your check and resents you. So they're supposed to give you your check afterwards, and they say, well, as soon as we do our debrief, we'll be out and give you your money. And so you're walking around like a homeless person. No, celebrity. You want to look like and act like a celebrity, not a diva, but you want to look important, and important people don't wait around walking the halls waiting for their check. So when you get to the point, you want to make it all paid before you get there. Okay, good question. Ordering was smooth for Suzanne. Good for you. Okay. Should you ask to be paid in advance? Yep. Yeah, exactly what I said, John, just in that other question. Let's see. Sharon, so often at conferences, the person before you cuts into your time. How do you get them off the stage without appearing rude? Well, this is something that you, in my agreement, Sharon, once you get to the point where, you're the main event, and that's where you always want to get to, you've got to get in your agreement, if the thing is running late, Tom Antion's time will not be cut. And, he'll start on time within a certain amount of time, and the promoter is responsible for cutting off a speaker that's going overtime that cuts into my time. Now, the reason I can get away with this, Sharon, is because they're depending on me to sell hundreds of thousands of dollars that they get a percentage of. So if they let somebody ramble on who's one of the non-revenue speakers and cut into my time, they're screwing themselves. So they don't want that to happen. They're screwing me and themselves. Now, if it's a corporate thing, you just have to have in your agreement, that you're not responsible for, programs running late or your time getting cut. But yeah, you walk up on stage and kick them in the butt and say, get off, unless they're friends of yours and you can tease with them. But, that's one that the event people need to take care of. But you need to at least put it in your contract or agreement that if that happens, you're not responsible. You're there ready to go at your time slot, period. And another thing can happen, Sharon, if they run really late and you have a flight out that night and they know about it and they cause you to miss your flight, they're responsible for that. That's not your fault. You were there ready to go on time. So, okay, Stephen, what are your pet peeves when it comes to people trying to joint venture with you, or what are your genius tips on building relationships to build joint ventures? Actually, Stephen, I have an entire audio file on how to joint venture. But I'll give you the Cliff's Notes. When people want to joint venture with you, which they will, the bigger your name becomes and the bigger your list is, they come to you with all kinds of deals that aren't good for your list. So, you politely say, well, I can't possibly promote that to my list. And I'm nice to them if I know they're newbies and they don't know what they're doing. If they're not newbies and just trying to force it, they should know better. But if they're newbies, I might say, you know what, if I promoted that to my list, Stephen, I'd get cussed out in 15 languages, around the world, because people are on my list for a specific thing, and if I give them something off topic, they're going to unsubscribe maybe 5,000 of them at one time. So I'm sure you can see I can't promote it. So you be nice to newbies. People that know better, you don't have to be nice. You might say, come on, Stephen, I can't pronounce. promote that. My people aren't here for that. But when you want a joint venture, yeah, you got to be easy to deal with. You got to research the other person's list. You got to give them something that you know is non-competitive with what they do. It has to have enough money involved that if they split it with you, they still make money. I mean, I have people coming to me say, hey, Tom, I got a $10 ebook. I'll give you $5 each one you sell. I'm like, you know, I'm not rude to them, but I'm thinking, take a hike. You don't know what you're doing. I get a $2,000 commission on some things that I recommend. You think I want to sell a million of your ebooks to try to do that? No. So there's the Cliff's Notes of it. Okay. Holly wants to know, how do you cut off the split story and tell them they will learn the rest later? So when I get to that point, I looked into the creek and I couldn't believe my eyes. I pause, because they're hanging on the cliff, right? Well, you know what? I'm going to get to that later, but right now, Joe is going to get mad at me if I don't get to the topic of the day, so blah, blah, blah. And they're, but they go along. They might ooh and groan and ah, but they go along with it because I try to portray a jovial, good, fun guy to deal with, so they feel comfortable teasing with me. But you just mentioned, I'll tell you that later, but I don't say it's going to be the very last word I say, because that might make them mad, or they say, oh, I just can't wait. So they never know, again, when I'm going to do it, and so they have to stay. Steven says, what would you do after a corporate event where you genuinely made a mistake from stage? CEO is pissed, and they do pay you, but I burned the bridge. What would you do as a follow-up process, not necessarily save the business, but rather just to do service recovery? Looking forward to, okay. Well, I would, I have a money-back guarantee on my, if they're not happy for anything that I did that was under my control. So I would offer the money back, or offer another presentation where I guaranteed them that mistake would not be made. I'd offer them a follow-up webinar, teleseminar, anything to show that ask for mea culpa, including and up to all the money back. So the thing is, don't make the mistake, Okay, Barb says, looking forward to diving into the site. Yay. Gail says, and we love you, Tom, with 4 exclamations. I love you too. Thank you. Sharon says, I'm excited as I bought the membership. It is perfect because I'm creating 10 new topics and will revamp my approach. No more tell them what you're going to tell them. Sharon, says Sharon. But here's the thing, Sharon, that's what scares me about what you said this nice stuff to me, but 10 new topics. People want to hire experts on one topic, not jacks of all trades. You'll never get your fee up really high unless you really specialize in something and be the greatest at it. Now, if it was 10 topics surrounding, like I could do email marketing, I'm supposed to be a big shot internet marketing guy, right? I could do email marketing for a whole presentation. I could do, search engine optimization. I could do product development, joint ventures, affiliate stuff. So those would be okay because it's all under the umbrella of internet marketing. But I don't want to see you doing sales, customer service, leadership, diversity, and all those kinds of things, because you'll look like a jack of all trades. Okay, Donna, nowadays is it okay in a speaking gig to build in audience participation, interaction in pairs or small groups if time? People seem to want engagement and entertainment along with information. We are asked percent. Absolutely, Donna. Yeah, they demand involvement in some way, and it can be directly with you, which that should be a lot of that. But as long as you're good enough to control the crowd, and that's where a whole lesson in itself, to so they aren't running to the bathroom instead of doing what you told them to do, and they're actually participating, because you don't want to lose, if you're not good at it, really good at it, you'll lose in your momentum if you do something that gives them a chance to run off, check their email. Dave Clark says, thanks. What's the link for the Ultimate Guide to Speaking program? That is Antion.com ultimate guide. Stevens asks, what's the link for the ultimate guide to speaking? That's where I pay you to use the book. That's a deal that I've had where if you use something out of the book and make me a video testimonial. Now, I don't want you giving me a bullshit testimonial just to get your money, but I'll give you double your money back. But you must use something from the book. Tell me how it worked, and I don't want you just saying, yeah, I did something from the book and I'm rich now. No, I don't want BS stuff because I don't want to be accused of buying testimonials. But you can see there's, I don't know, 70, 80 people that recently have given me video testimonials. Antion.com/ultimate guide. Ruth, are more speakers today wearing more casual clothes, less conservative? Yes, Ruth. I mean, I'm to the point where, you know, I wear a shirt with my shirt tail out and that's it, you know. And, you know, I kind of got I don't want to call panache about me, but I mean, they know I'm, you know, I'm a multimillionaire and I could do what I want. But you see a lot of open collars on guys. The best advice I ever got on that was to dress just slightly better than the people in the audience, but not too much better. So there's a disconnect. But yes, more casual is fine. And speaking of women, if you you know, if you buy that really form-fitted suit when you're a speaker, you got to pay attention and leave room for microphone packs, because if you make it perfectly form-fitted and they stick two transmitter packs under your belt in the back or on your skirt in the back, now the front of your jacket is pulling and it looks terrible. So you got to pay attention, guys too, on that stuff. Lucille Flint, the only way you can get a copy of the agreement is to buy the Ultimate Guidebook that I just talked about, Lucille. I mean, like I said, that's a very special, I mean, the book itself is, I don't know, 200 and some pages of things you need to know about. But and don't think, Lucille, I don't know you personally, that you can just jump in and use my agreement, because I've reached a plateau, I guess a plateau in my speaking career that people really want me, and they'll do things they wouldn't do for just any speaker to get me. You know, sometimes they'll change the date of the event or ask me if I'm available before they book the date of the event. So if you're just starting out or you're not to that point, you can't use everything you see in my agreement. But if you want to get the book, it's antion.com/ultimate guide, and you can get double the money back if you do me a video testimonial after actually doing something. What do we have here? Keith says, I've been developing a workshop to use a fundraiser. You got to get my fundraising course if you want to really do that. Over the past 5 years, I've been training for hypnosis, NLP coaching, and planning to talk about what I've learned. Let's see. Your program seems like it will help me. Yeah, you got it. The first several fundraisers are hard. This is a pretty long, hard for me to see, Keith. But the first several fundraisers are hard to land because people can't believe they could make so much money in a few hours. I mean, one of the ways we do them in churches a lot of times, and they'll do a bake sale for 2 weeks to make $50, you know, so they can't believe they could make a couple grand, you know, in a few hours. So that's a little bit harder. But if you get the fundraising course, it has consultation with it also. It's $97. You'll have immediate access online to it, and within you know, a couple hours, you'll have the whole layout of what to do to book fundraisers. And you're doing, it's a triple win. You're getting the speaking engagement, the crowd's getting a great event, and the organizing body is making money. Keith says, I've sworn off new trainings to save time so that I can work more of my speeches. Well, I don't know about that. If that's the greatest, I mean, it seems like a good idea if you never use what you buy, Keith, but, you know, good training that's reasonably priced can just cut enormous amounts. Your program, if it's too important to decide to go for it, good thinking, Keith. I always tell people my one-sentence business plan. My one-sentence business plan is I create quality products that people actually want at a reasonable price and service them after the sale. That's how I've been in business a million years, and I have no lawsuits. Nobody hardly ever have a refund. I can't even remember how to do them. It's only like when somebody orders twice accidentally or something. Adam says, you could have fooled me about being a nice guy. I don't know. What did I do? Did I say something? Holly Rouser says, no pants. I don't know. Yeah, I did have a promo picture taken behind a lectern with my pants around my ankles, but I don't know where everybody's seeing that. They might, I don't know. Let's see, Lucio. Yes, Tom, I do know you personally. Oh, well, great. Yeah, I just don't know how how big your fee is and how bad they want you when you go to speak, Lucio. Holly Rod, you said only a shirt. You guys are losing me here. But anyway, so I think I've been beating you to death enough. I did get the 30 tips in 37.625 minutes or less, by the way. Donna says, is PowerPoint still okay? People respond to visual as long as we don't subject them to death by PowerPoint. Yes, absolutely, Donna. PowerPoint is okay. And I say that with like, oh, I wish you would learn my advanced way of doing things. But yes, it's okay. I'm doing it right now on this webinar, fine. But the thing is, at the live events, the way I do and teach, I can go any which direction I want at a moment's notice. People get locked into their PowerPoint and they have to skip slides, and that makes people feel cheated. And then they get lost and confused. Where was that slide? Oh, I said that somewhere. The method I teach, I can pop around anywhere. You never know if I left anything out or not, and I'm not, stuck with that exact thing. I got lost here. Okay, Sharon, interested in the joint venture. I don't have a strong current email list as I have currently always been sponsored. Must you have a strong list for someone worthwhile to be interested in a joint venture? No, you need to have a great product for them so that they're interested in making a commission off of you. When you have a big list, people will start coming to you and try to get you to promote them for a commission. But you don't have to have anything to joint venture if you do it correctly, other than a product that's worthwhile the other person promoting. John says, it sounds like your 30 techniques covered today are more for keynote speeches, but not for longer presentations. Absolutely not, John. That is crazy. I'm not saying you're crazy, John, but that is absolutely ridiculous. I was speaking at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, had them laughing. Okay. Substantive material doesn't mean you need to be boring. You need to keep people's attention. You need to add entertainment value. If you want your fees to be the top of the industry and you just go up there, the biggest scientists, know more than any of us about anything, but do you think people want to listen to them? No. So absolutely, I'm just freaking out on that comment, John, that the reason people stay trainers and just do substantive material rather than getting enormous fees for shorter presentations is because they're boring. All right. So, and actually, these are more important on that kind of material because a lot of times you're there longer. It might be 3 days you're teaching this stuff. And if you incorporate these attention-gaining devices and entertainment value, but it has to be the right entertainment value. You can't be a clown when you're talking to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. All right, but you can if you're talking to the Secretary's Day. All right, so that's all in my make them laugh system. So absolutely, this covers all types of presentations. All right, Gail says, oh please, webinar is okay, but there is nothing more painful than death by PowerPoint. Yeah, PowerPoint's okay in a webinar, but on stage, oh my God. Okay, well, there we go. So I'm going to start winding it down here. I thank everybody. Gail says, great job, Tom. I appreciate it. Still a lot of people on the line, and I appreciate that too. I can go on for hours and hours, but I got a lot of people email me and texting me. And Jim says, this was great as usual. Thank you. My pleasure, Jim. That's the way I roll. And thank you, Diane, for hanging in there. So those of you still on the fence, 26 cents a day to really, really ramp up your speak. I mean, people charge $5,000 and $10,000 that stole my material, can't even do what I teach, and charge you $5,000 and $10,000 or more to learn it. So those people are rip-offs, and yeah, sucks. Sammy says, Tom, if you're interested, I have a 42-slide presentation on how not to present a boring PowerPoint presentation. Dave says, appreciate the value and generosity as always, Tom. My pleasure, Dave. Keith says, have a great evening. Loved it. Okay, folks, thank you, Barb. And hit it one more time there. We got amazingpublicspeaking.com/genius.html. And I will catch you all on the flip-flop. And on your consultations, to book your consultations, you email me 3 days and times that you can be available, and I can usually confirm one of them. Orders@antion.com. If you don't hear back within 24 hours, you call 757-431-1366, and cell is 301-346-7403, 301-346-7403. And make sure you mention your time zone too. All right, hit it hard, and I want to see all you great speakers out there being geniuses. Catch y'all later.